gentlemen, welcome to this very special show. This is SAP and SHRM presents Value Proposition for HR Digitalization and Getting It Right in collaboration with ET Now. Now, in this last 1 year, we've realized the importance of technology in almost every sector, every industry. But one sector that works behind the scenes but is so integral to any company, any employee, is HR. And today I have a panel of experts with me who'll be talking about digitalization in the HR space, about HR technology, how it's so important and how it has revolutionized sectors, industries, companies all across. Allow me to first up introduce my panel. We have Ms. Meenakshi Arora, she's the CHRO at Trident. We have Jasmeet Bhatia, he's the EVP HR IR at Thermax. Mr. Madhukar V, he's the head HR at Southern Petrochemical Industries Corporation. Mr. Sanjay Singh, CHRO at UPL. And also we have James Thomas, Vice President, SAP Success Factors. Thank you so much, gentlemen and ma'am, for joining on this panel. Let's kick things off. Jasmeet, I want to start with you. In your opinion, what's been the role of technology in supporting you to manage the impact on business, work, and especially talent during this time?
I think technology has really been helpful, and COVID has taught us a lot of things about how we can utilize technology while we were going through this last 1 year. We've had the capability to communicate with each other over the internet for a long time. But it was only last year when we all realized that we've got to use it very effectively. So it's been a very interesting learning curve for all of us. How do we ensure that our businesses are running, our people have the necessary tools to communicate with each other? And across the board, I think we've seen all employees come up and be able to show productivity in all parts of work. So I think technology has really helped in a big way.
Absolutely. I just want to bring in Madhukar first and then Meenakshi on the same point, but give me a different focus, because both your industries are so physical, in the sense these are factories, these are people on shop floors working. It's not just like you can switch off from offline and move to an online space. So Madhukar, if you could go first, and then Meenakshi, just what's been the challenges? How's that worked out for you?
Absolutely, as Jasmeet has rightly said, we had a huge amount of challenges even before the COVID, because we were not realizing the importance of technology as far as the HR is concerned in the past. But once the COVID situation came last year March, that time we suddenly realized the importance of HR in digitalization. For example, we have a lot of remote locations spread across about 80 locations across India. It was very difficult for us to even see my employees from sitting at Tuticorin, at the southernmost part of Tamil Nadu. But technology has really enabled us to meet virtually people, and then lot of hiring also took place in the last 1.5 hours to virtual interviews only, even video interviews. And then we recruited one manager also, maintenance, who was working in Senegal. We were able to connect a person in Senegal, and then we literally brought him here, and then we had virtual onboarding also here in Tuticorin. So that's the impact of technology, and definitely it was so helpful. In a way, the COVID lockdown has helped us a lot in realizing the importance of technology.
Absolutely. Meenakshi, just wanted to get in your thoughts on the same question.
Sure. So, Sumit, I would say I would like to categorize into two categories primarily, the blue-collar workforce and the white-collar workforce. For white-collar workforce, I would still say that we were actually very prepared. So in fact, probably we would be one of those organizations who had started town hall. The chairman himself was presented in the town hall on a daily basis to engage people around. But when in the first COVID wave, when the factories were shut in because of the kind of a product that we produce, it's impossible to make it online. But I guess this COVID scenario has, transformed everybody's thinking around it. So what I mean to say over here is that the focus towards Industry 4.0, how do we actually automate a lot of activities, has become a focus for Trident. So that way I would say, this entire thing has worked in better for us. But yes, for white-collar employees, a lot of things were happening already. But yes, the absorption of them is at a much faster pace.
James, I'll bring you in on this conversation. Now, great technology has helped, and all our speakers have spoken about that. But specifically to you, how have you seen this, pivot around using HR technology, using technology in different functions of human resources. How have you seen this kind of pivot in this last 1.5 year?
Thank you, Sumit. Absolutely. So, technology and digital has definitely accelerated over the years, and COVID has only further increased the pace and momentum around it. But one of the interesting facets that's coming around as we go more digital, right? Uh, there is an element of human in the human being always. And human resources is all about unleashing the potential of the human being. So one of the key shifts that we are seeing is technology is becoming more experiential, right? How are we able to drive employee experiences, moments that matter for employees, is making a huge impact. And a lot of us, even for us, right? We cherish the moments that matter to us in the past. We get nostalgic about some of our experiences of the past. In a current context of employees too, there are connected moments that matter in an organizational context. And how do you really bring that across as part of an organization's culture, and how do you leverage technology? So one of the key shifts that we are encountering is this balance between the human and the human being, and how do you bring that flexibility, agility, and the human experiences and employee experiences as you embrace technology more to digitalize your workforce.
Sanjay, UPL is present across over 138 countries, and you're the fifth largest agrochemical company in the world. As the global CHRO, how has your team been able to stay in touch and motivate employees in the far corners of the world across multiple time zones?
So it was quite a complex exercise, I would say, but our employees really helped, because they had this attitude that in this crisis we have to be at the forefront, because they realize the role they play in providing food to the last person in the world, and they never shied away. So I think that's how we try to manage. We try to split people into the segments depending upon their role in the organization, and those who can work from who could work from home, they were made to work from home. Those who had to go, and they were like more than 50-60% of the company. But I think it just worked out, and we kept on learning. Like with every experience, we were learning. The lucky thing for us is that we have a significant presence in Europe, where we have 8 to 9 factories, and Europe was the first ones to be hit hard. And we took a lot of learnings from there in terms of the protocols that you really need to put in place, when a factory is hit by COVID-19.
Jasmeet, how do you use technology to enhance social connectedness and employee experience?
I think it's very important, and James touched upon a very important piece, that how do we bring the connectivity with employees, not just having our calls with people, but also the emotional connect that we have in office, especially with new employees joining in. They get to know what is the work and what are the policies of the organization very easily. But the culture is what they absorb by meeting people, having lunch with them, meeting them over coffee, or just walking around and interacting with employees. So with technology adoption, one part is to learn how to be effective on these video calls and get our work done. The other part is how do we bring the human connect also into that?
Meenakshi, coming to you on this point, because the mental well-being is so very crucial. And again, as HR professionals, the importance of that. But obviously, safety and wellness is a crucial focus area for all organizations like yours. What extent and how have you been able to use technology for employee wellness and well-being? How's that helped? How's that worked out for you?
So, in our scenario, Sumit, we had actually implemented a wellness app for our employees separated, to make sure that how they're actually doing. We have been asking them to participate into multiple marathons, where we're actually, asking them not to probably do marathons, run them in parallel in individual, and just record the times around it. In terms of the mental well-being, I guess we are at one benefit edge. So we have our own hospital in one of our biggest facilities. So from that particular part, we were able to spread out the guidance on nutrition, we spread out the guidance on what are the things that we should take care of, There have been cases of depression. There have been cases of feeling isolated, and a lot of youngsters, because they have been coming and working from different parts of the country, right? So they have felt alone when they were far from the family and still not been able to meet their friends in the different ways as per different timelines. So from that particular angle, I guess the support from the organization has been one extended one. And secondly, in terms of making sure that they are fit and healthy, a lot of sessions on yoga, a lot of sessions on, how can you be more creative, a lot of sessions on the how do you contribute from the volunteering aspect. Since we are one of our own foundation, they have been doing a lot of online volunteering so that they can create or connect themselves back to the peace and making some working for the life. So that is how we are trying to attack the scenario.
On that note, it's time for a very short break here on SAP and SHRM presents Value Proposition for HR Digitalization and Getting It Right in collaboration with ET Now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to SAP and SHRM presents Value Proposition for HR Digitalization and Getting It Right in collaboration with ET Now, where I'm in conversation with a panel of HR experts. James, what also the pandemic has shown us is too much of technology in a way. So I'll be the devil's advocate. All right, I'm looking at the other side of the coin. Too much technology, too much screen time. But obviously technology is important. It's the thing that's kept us all going in this pandemic, helped us all out so much. How have you been able to guide companies to maybe adopt new systems, new technologies, but keep the wheels running in their organizations?
Yeah, that's a wonderful point, Sumit. People have become pretty much front and center of everything that we do today, right, in the current scenario. So it's extremely important. What we are seeing organizations look at is to take a view at their relative maturity levels in various processes and where things are going okay for them versus where there are some serious gaps, and then accelerating that digitization on areas that they think will create maximum impact for their people, for their business, and managing the current environment better. I also want to touch upon another key aspect that we are encountering with organizations, which is, I think there are some very good examples that Meenakshi, Jasmeet, and Madhukar mentioned, is about the flexibility of the workplace, right? Now, in a 9 to 5 day, at times I may have my kid coming into the official meeting. Suddenly he or she comes in on the screen, or it could be my pet cat or dog suddenly bouncing off the screen. So, more seriously, there are a lot of schedule changes that we are forced to do during the day. Could be one of our friends who needs support, could be one of our family members who wants to have a chat on something. So flexibility to work practices, work hours, benefits. There is a whole redefinition to flexibility that is being encountered by organizations today. And when you talk of flexibility, you just cannot drive flexibility without agile technology platforms, right? Otherwise, the permutations and combinations related to those flexible work practices are one too many for any one individual or any one HR team to manage. So it's a very interesting phenomena that is we are encountering today, and it cuts across industries.
That's a very good point. But Sanjay, I just want to bring you in on this. Your thoughts on the same question.
Way you can have the technology helping everybody is by doing these 2-3 things. The first thing is generate as much data as possible, number one. Number two, clean up the data, sieve up the data so that you know what is the data which is required for everyday decision making and what is the data which is of the secondary nature. But the third and the most important thing is have a platform where that data can be shared globally to all the relevant stakeholders. And the fourth is that you use that data to create dashboards, to create analytics, which actually becomes the source of taking forward-looking decisions. So I would say that in addition to the basic level of technology, which is around communication or data transfer, our investment in enterprise platforms, our investments in add-on services, our investment in analytics, and our investments in integrating them to make it accessible to anyone to anyone in the system across the world, actually, made it very, made it really, I would say, positive or facilitative, to work during the crisis. We did not experience any significant or any showstoppers in our manufacturing operations when the crisis was at peak, because when the crisis was at peak, then our reaction was of a much higher order than when we learned about the crisis, and we moderated our response. In the beginning, the fear of COVID-19 was pretty high, but even during that period, with our robust enterprise systems, with good data management, we were able to run our operations.
How has the HR team, how have they been able to adjust to this? How have they been able to take care of themselves while taking care of the rest of the company?
I think a very important point during this time, the HR teams have become the core support system for a lot of employees, whether it is the emergency contact center, whether using technology to create apps where people could just share status of their health, so we know how many people are down with COVID or their family members, so that we can reach out and help, or just bringing in the external support, who needs oxygen cylinders, who needs hospital beds when it was at its peak. It was really a huge task, or a number of things that the HR people were doing. And while we were also looking at the mental health support for all employees, we were also looking at whoever was in this task force of supporting our large employee base, especially the HR people. How are we supporting them in terms of their mental health? They are the ones who are daily looking at people suffering, people going to hospitals, unfortunate deaths happening, and it does take a toll. So it's been a very difficult journey for a lot of HR people to be surrounded by so much bad news and still continue to support in whatever way they can. I think besides the factories where we've have had people coming in with all safety measures, HR has also played a big role in helping the world shift on in terms of what is the outcome of work. And the slogan that we've been using is that work is not a place you go to, work is what you do. And HR's really helped enable this system for people who don't need to go into a manufacturing site.
Absolutely, so true, so true. Madhukar, the interview is an integral part of any employee's journey. It's the start of the journey, in fact, and the onboarding. We were again speaking about the onboarding earlier. But in your experience, how has that changed now that you're doing interviews virtually? How do you, create that community, that bond with that employee? How do you help that employee get on board and kind of bond with the rest of the team?
A lot of people we have hired only through virtual, and we have identified the locations where they need to be positioned, and we have organized onboard facilities virtually in that particular location itself. So within a matter of time, everything got over and it sailed our business to a new one. That's all.
Interesting. Wow, that's a great insight. James, technology, it's become a part of HR and it's used across the employee life cycle. But do you think there is any other space where it is yet to permeate?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I think one of the areas which we find there is a lot of conversation, but organizations are still grappling how to really have technology adopt well is the analytics and the people inside space.
I have a point to ponder what James has told just now, and probably I strongly believe that HR Connect will be only through human touch. That we can ensure only if we have a good connect with the employee by understanding their emotional and feelings also.
Important point there, Madhukar. Yes, thank you for that. But we're running out of time, so I have to now come for closing comments. And I just wanted to come first to Jasmeet. Jasmeet, are you seeing now with this pandemic the importance of HR increasing?
I think a lot of companies are experimenting with is to bring in the collective intelligence in trying to create these continuity plans. We've got so many employees who are smart, trustworthy in our organization, and in many cases, they know more about their jobs than their leaders. So, how do we bring that collective intelligence in brainstorming when we're talking about how do we get ready for wave three? How do we get ready for the hybrid world? And we've had initiatives like Ideas for Tomorrow where everyone can contribute to this collective thinking and create a very robust continuity plan. So I think HR is right in the center of this.
Madhukar, important point in any factory is the labor, is the unions. How is it been easier? Has it been tougher? Talk to us about that. Have you been able to have you been having Zoom calls with union leaders?
Yeah, why not? Because both of us look at the common cause only. If you take any example, during the COVID scenario last time and this time during the second wave also, the objective is that people should be safe and healthy. That's why we are targeting at the same time, irrespective of whether they are white collared or blue collared or union or management side, it's totally different. But since the objective is common, we were sailing together towards achieving this goal. So
this is in a way COVID has kind of helped bring, usually you always think that okay, it's employer on one side, union on the other side, but some kind of bonhomie, some kind of working together has been.
Yes, absolutely, because the mindset has become common. So probably that wavelength will have a impact on the continuing good relationship in future also.
James, as we wrap up this panel, what would the future of HR tech be like? I mean, will we see more of artificial intelligence, more big data analytics? What would you and I and this panel of experts be discussing a year from today? Let's put it that way.
So to me, we started this discussion, Sumit, by saying how technology and digitization has helped HR, human resources. I would say human resource management is moving to human experience management. And the future workplace and the future of work belongs to a flexible, agile way of understanding and balancing this human element of human beings and the performance and the data element of what is expected out of work from them, and truly governing them through empathetic human experience management, and how technology will facilitate it is going to be the new key.
Sanjay, as we go in for closing comments, just your thoughts, what do you see the way ahead for technology in the HR space in a company like yours?
Technology is that if you don't catch it early, it will always make it harder for you to catch it late. Also, the role of technology is that if you catch it late, then you're going to miss on the new advancement. So I believe that whether it is a small thing like pre-onboarding or interviewing processes or recruitment to managing employee health, all these things can be delivered very well only through the use of technology. So technology actually has become the central point of making human experience positive, seamless, very effective.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure interacting with everyone here. These great insights, and thank you for that. And I'm sure our viewers are also taking back a lot from this very special discussion that we have had here. You've been watching SAP and SHRM presents Value Proposition for HR Digitalization and Getting It Right in collaboration with ET Now. Thank you so much for watching.